Hi, my name is David Kriske. I'm a transportation planner with the City of Burbank, and we're out here on a beautiful weekday afternoon on the Chandler Bikeway to learn a little bit more about bicycle safety. One of the city's main goals in promoting bicycling as a travel mode is to make sure that people are doing it in a safe manner. And there's been a lot of discussion lately about just what does that mean. So I'm here with Lieutenant J.J. Puglisi with the police department to talk about what that means for Burbank bicyclists and keeping safe out on Chandler Bikeway, keeping safe on the roadways and other areas. Hi, how are you?
Doing fine. How are you, David?
So let's talk a little bit about safety with bicycling. And I guess we'll start first with, before we even get out on the roads, what does it mean? What do you need to do to your bicycle itself to be safe on the roads? What are some of the equipment things that you need to have on your bike?
Well, it's always a good idea to make sure that your bike's in good working order before you go out and actually ride on the street or on the bikeway. You want to make sure your tires are properly inflated, that there's no nails or other obstructions in the tires or in the wheels. Make sure your brakes are working properly, and then, you know, just to be safe when you go out there, make sure that you're wearing the appropriate protective equipment. It's always a good idea to wear a helmet. If you're a kid that's first learning to ride a bike, you know, elbow pads, knee pads aren't a bad idea either.
And is there other equipment that's needed if you want to ride at night?
If you're riding at night, there are lighting requirements that the vehicle code talks about, and basically those consist of having a white light to the front of the bike, a red reflector to the rear of the bike, and then reflectors on the sides of the bike that make you visible to traffic during nighttime hours.
Right, so it's pretty much just to make sure you're visible to drivers, visible to walkers when you're riding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the main reasons for all those requirements are just to promote the safety of the bicyclists and the other people that you're sharing the road with.
Great. Now, when you're actually riding out on the road, what are some of the laws that maybe folks aren't aware of when they're riding their bicycle? What's the best way and the safest way to be riding when you're in the street?
Well, if you're in the street, you have to ride in the same direction as the flow of traffic. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. It's always a good idea to maintain an awareness of your surroundings, cross traffic, make sure that you know what's behind you, and you know, you're subject, if you're riding in the street, you're subject to all the rules of the road that vehicles are in terms of stop signs, stop lights, yielding to pedestrians, and all of those other types of rules of the road.
Right, and I guess if you're a driver, that means the same thing to them. Bicycles have the right to be on the road, and as a driver, you need to treat them like vehicles as well and give them the courtesy that they need out on the road too.
Yeah, bicycles do have a right to share the road with vehicles. Some people opt at an intersection, for example, if they're going to make a left-hand turn. A lot of cyclists will actually utilize the vehicle left-hand turn lane, and they are entitled to do that by law.
Now, as a bicyclist, if I want to ride with my iPod, how does that work?
Well, as long as you have one ear that's not covered by the iPod, then you're okay. If you have headphones on both ears, then that would be a violation, just as it would if you were driving your vehicle with or your car with headphones on.
Right, I see. And I know some people would rather ride their bike on the sidewalk rather than in the street. What kind of rules do we have for riding on the sidewalk? Is that something that can be done?
In Burbank, in the City of Burbank, the only place that you cannot ride on the sidewalk is up in the downtown area. There's some ordinances and regulations regarding that, but generally throughout the city, if you want to ride on the sidewalk, that's okay. The major rule is that you have to yield to pedestrians on the sidewalk, and it's just, you know, exercising common respect for the other people that you're sharing the sidewalk with. And then when you come to a intersection, it's always a good idea to get off the bike and walk across if you're using the sidewalk, because drivers are expecting that it's pedestrians that are going to be entering that intersection.
Right, and that can be sometimes a really unsafe situation when drivers aren't expecting bikes coming out on the sidewalk if they're riding fast or not operating as pedestrians.
Sure.
So that kind of gives us some background information on rules of the road on the street, but one great amenity we have in Burbank is our Chandler Bikeway, which is a separate facility that's just for bicycles and pedestrians. So, you know, there's some good safety reasons to be on Chandler. It's a much nicer ride in some respects, but there's also some things we need to be aware of when we're on Chandler. What kind of rules that are specifically geared towards Chandler that people need to be made aware of? Probably
the biggest thing that people need to keep in mind is that it is a shared use type of facility. It's for bicycles, it's for pedestrians, and so you have to be aware of that and maintain, you know, like I said before, just maintain a common respect for the other people that you're sharing that with. Some of the other things to keep in mind are on the bicycle portion of the pathway, it is directional, so they want to stay on the appropriate side of the bikeway. And if you're a pedestrian, you want to make sure that you're staying in your section as well, because you never know if there's going to be a bicyclist that's going to be coming up from behind that you may not see. Now, when we come to the actual intersections on the bikeway, there are stop signs. Those are for the bicyclists to comply with, and they're actually regulation size, just like they are on the roadway right now. And at those intersections, bicyclists are expected to come to a stop, dismount their bicycle, and actually walk across the intersection prior to continuing on the bike.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of what folks need to be aware of is just a lot of common sense. You know, if you're speeding on your bike really fast, you need to be aware of the other pedestrians and other users in the bike path. Be aware of the signage that we have out there that keeps folks on different sides of the bike path, and really just understand that this is a kind of a community amenity that everyone's out there to enjoy, and everyone just needs to kind of get along with one another and really just be courteous is kind of what it boils down to.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's all just about showing respect to the other people that are using this, and, you know, riding with due caution, and you know, making sure that you're looking out for the other people that are around you.
Right. And then kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about was we've got some equipment that we've installed over the years as part of our Bicycle Master Plan on the street to help bicyclists interact on the streets a little bit easier. One of those items is at some of our traffic signals we now have bicycle detection on the streets that will trigger the signal to actuate for the bicyclists. In some locations, signals are only actuated by a vehicle approaching, so if you're a bike, sometimes you can't get across the street. But we now have symbols on the street. They're small little painted symbols that if you put your bike on that symbol, it'll trigger a light for you. And I think that we're going to be looking to install more of that going forward as we develop our Bicycle Master Plan and some of our bicycle infrastructure. Another piece of equipment that we have that we've been putting out is in a lot of our commercial areas. You may have seen, and folks may have seen, the black U-style bike racks on the sidewalks. That's bicycle parking, so that when folks are using their bike for transportation, they can park and secure their bike without it getting stolen, and it makes it convenient to be out of the way of the sidewalk, and hopefully we're trying to promote bicycling not only as a recreational activity, but also as a transportation mode that's going to get some cars off the road. Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant Puglisi, for your assistance and kind of letting us know what the rules of the road for bicycles are, both on the road and on Chandler. And I appreciate you coming out and helping me with this.
Anytime, David.
Great, thank you very much.
Be safe.
One of Burbank's major transportation goals is to improve bicycling throughout the city, to allow its residents to use bicycles for commuting, recreation, utilitarian trips, running errands, and other uses. As part of that, the city has adopted a Bicycle Master Plan. The Bicycle Master Plan's goal is to set out and lay out a vision of bicycling in Burbank for the next 20 years. The Bicycle Master Plan has helped the city install 20 miles of bike facilities. It's helped the city install bike racks throughout the city. It's helped Burbank to improve its downtown Metrolink station, to improve bicycle commuting facilities for bike commuters. And it's also laid out some of the goals and policies that the city wants to follow to establish biking as a major transportation mode. We're in the process of updating that master plan now, and you can have a say in what the city's bicycling vision looks like in the next 20 years. If you're interested in being part of this, please go to our city's website, bicycling website, at www.burbankbike.org. You can take a survey to help give your opinion on bicycling matters in the city, and there's also a contact page to allow you to get involved in making Burbank a bit more bikeable friendly community. That concludes my presentation about bike safety and the city's Bicycle Master Plan. I hope you learned something and have a great ride.